Dogs is a Romanian thriller, the very first of its kind actually, about a young dude from the big city who comes to a remote area in the secluded countryside in order to sell the vast land he inherited from his departed grandfather. He is exposed to a series of strange findings in this hostile environment, which will get him caught between this crazy power struggle involving the local police chief and the leader of a mercenary group who are apparently not clever enough to keep the shady business they are conducting go undetected, but are callous enough to threaten anyone who might cross their path. This is a film many are hailing as a much needed breath of fresh air for Romanian cinema, which, let's be honest with ourselves, isn't really known for its thrillers, and its visual style, its tone, its slow pace, its character archetypes, and its preoccupation with presenting us with an environment so remote and so hostile that the long arm of the law doesn't really have much influence over it, has been primarily compared to, and rightfully so I might add, to No Country for Old Men. And of course, me being much more knowledgeable than everyone else, I would also like to compare this to maybe some lesser known films, such as Marshland for example, because of the way both of these films ooze with this incredibly unsettling atmosphere, in no small part thanks to the masterfully executed shots, which really help make this environment and make these surroundings feel as much of an essential part of the story as do the characters. The basic premise and the way elements of dark humor are mixed with creepiness really reminded me of another film probably not many people have seen, called Cop Car. An innocent and inexperienced young person or people leave their comfort zone and venture into this desolate land in which they have no clue of the dangers lurking. They take possession of a piece of property which they figure rightfully belongs to them, but it turns out there is a more mischievous figure who will do whatever it takes to manipulate and to sweet talk the good guys into getting them to do what they want. Both bad guys defy acceptable moral principles, one of them being a corrupt cop who takes advantage of his social rank and commits horrible crimes himself, and the other being a sort of crime boss who the police just can't find a way to put their hands on. Both antagonists' motivations are kept mostly in the dark. The films never really explain why these guys are doing the things they are doing and what exactly it is that they are doing, and both films culminate in a tense and violent standoff that just might put a smile on your face if you're a fan of this kind of stuff. And not to mention that both of these actors were absolutely perfect for their roles. Now everyone knows Kevin Bacon, but Vlad Ivanov on the other hand might be more familiar to Western audiences as Franco the Elder from Snowpiercer, or maybe even as Mr. Bebe from another Romanian film, 4 months, 3 weeks and 2 days. The guy is an immense talent. I think that with each and every character he plays, he manages, just simply by the way he carries himself as the character, or just simply by having a few lines of dialogue, to basically encapsulate the whole atmosphere of the film he is playing in, and I would even go so far as to say that he encapsulates sometimes the very theme of the film. His character in this film really seems to have a very disdainful opinion about city dwellers. In a very excellent line of dialogue, in a very simplified manner, he says that he thinks that city people are nothing more than like dogs, hence the title of the film. And for the very simple reason that city people have to obey rules all the time, every step of the way. It seems really ridiculous to them that city people, even when they are crossing the street, they have to wait for a stop sign to show them that they are permitted to do this. This really gave me something to think about, also due to the fact that the only actual dog in a film called Dogs is a German Shepherd named Police. Yeah, that's right, Police. Basically what I interpreted to be the main theme of the film is authority. It's like humans have authority over dogs. We are not equal. Everyone knows that. That's for certain. But what about when it comes to humans and other humans? Who has authority then? It's like basically this is a situation in which everyone considers themselves to be superior. You know, when someone considers themselves to be superior compared to another person, that usually might mean that that person might consider the other person to be nothing more than a mere animal, a dog, a savage. What's really interesting about the film is that we get to see like the points of view of several people, and what's really sad about it is that while these people are basically enemies, their points of view are basically identical. And this is like a major paradox that's very fun to see unfold in the film. Now on a little bit of a different note, I thought it was a little bit unfortunate we didn't really get to see many of these characters spend a lot of screen time together, besides maybe like a major scene or two. But that might have been intentional because this is basically a story in which these three main guys are trying to avoid each other, but at the same time are trying to get rid of each other behind each other's back. But I couldn't help feeling that the film, especially during its second half, mostly in its second half, was bogged down a little bit by a sense that might have been some scenes left on the cutting room floor. Now, these scenes might not be anything essential or major. The film still seems like a nicely wrapped package. Because, for some reason, I felt that the conclusion of this film came a little bit suddenly and was a little underdeveloped. Because moments before this film ended, I was still certain that there were going to be a good 20 minutes left. And initially when I saw the film, I was like, okay, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just a feeling I have, and it's fine. But wouldn't you know it, I was right. Allegedly, the initial version of this film was 3 hours long. This version, which exists now, is like an hour and 47 minutes with the credits, so it's like an hour and 44 the whole film. Now that's a huge chunk. That's like an hour and a quarter of a film, which is gone. Now, of course, I know this happens. Not all of the scenes filmed for a movie make it into the final product. That's fine. But here, in this case, this was done for mostly distribution reasons. You can't release a 3-hour film, no one will go watch it, so they cut it. They really shortened it. And of course, I think this is a little bit unfortunate. I might be completely wrong, and this film might be perfect the way it is. But the fact that I sensed something, I felt something, I wouldn't have said anything if I didn't. I felt that the film might not have been taken to its full potential. Even though it is a great film, it's an excellent film, but for some reason I think that there might be a possibility that it could have been even greater. But who knows? And don't get me started on the one female character in the film, the one human female character in the film, which is our main character's girlfriend who comes to visit. It was like those two characters, their whole chemistry was just not working for some reason. The way they behaved with each other was very abnormal and odd. And it was like if they might have been more extra scenes, which might have shown otherwise, then I wouldn't have got that impression. But this way, the way it is, I think is the only thing in the film I can genuinely say doesn't work. In a way, I felt kind of the same thing I did with Cop Car. It was another reason I brought it up. This is a film that has a lot of build-up and not as much payoff. And it's a film that at the end basically gives less than it promises to give in the beginning. Still an excellent film though, don't hate me. It's really great that you can interpret this film in different ways and what it has to say, if it has anything to say at all. In my opinion, it also says something about what basically destroys a person or a community always comes from within. There's an excellent metaphor for this in the film. I can't spoil, you have to see it for yourself. But basically, at the end of the day, everything, one way or another, is rotten at the core. So it's a very pessimistic film in typical Romanian fashion. I highly recommend it, despite my critiques. Thanks for watching my review as always. I will see you later with other reviews. Until then, take care folks, and goodbye.